Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Art Lessons with Rossi. Today, we're going to be talking about line quality. And specifically, I want us to be using contour line, but to create different kinds of quality within that contour line. We will be drawing small candy as well as pretzels. Actually, pretzels work really well for this. Grab a couple. And this kind of small candy allows us to really be intimate with our drawing, work like a little bit bigger than a one-to-one scale, and also experiment with, again, different kinds of line quality. So I want you to set up a little still life and then basically break up your paper into 4 different sections. And you're going to use 4 different kinds of line quality within each one of these. So I want you to use lyrical line, whimsical line, structural line, and aggressive line. And I'm going to work in these quadrants here, so that my hand doesn't smear everything. If I'm afraid that my hand will smear everything, I'm going to put something underneath my hand. And I will start by showing you what I mean with that each line quality. So I'm going to use lyrical line in this section. And I'm going to be drawing my still life each time. And I can rearrange it each time too, so that I'm drawing these candies, pretzels, etc. In a slightly different configuration each time. You can decide what that might be. You also don't have to include all of them. You can make decisions about how you're going to place them on your paper. When it comes to lyrical line, a lyrical line is a slow, very like beautiful, moving line that has a lot of the similar weight to it. So it has like thick and thin lines, but they all seem to be going in the same direction. They seem like they're flowing. So I really love drawing these crackers or candies with lyrical line, as well as the pretzels with lyrical line. So I'm going to start. Uh, I'm going to start with this Hershey's candy, and then come in and draw all of the other ones. So for the Hershey's candy, what I'm noticing is that if I use contour line and I describe its edges, um, I'm going to like describe all of its edges, thinking about where it gets thicker, where it gets thinner, where I can describe that form as being thicker, thinner. And when I use lyrical line, I really like to pulse my line, where I'm working lightly and then I go in and like draw a little bit darker, push in to draw a little bit darker. And as I start to draw the candies, I'm just gonna like let my line be very fluid, a very fluid, like basically continuous line for that idea of lyrical. Coming into these wrappers, moving in and out of these wrappers, moving through the wrapper, drawing the candy on the other side. As you can see, I like really not even lifting my pencil at all, but rather just trying to create a very fluid moving line. Now I'm at the little starbursts. Same thing. I'm just going to create a fluid line that kind of pulses. Going to come down into these pretzels, really curving around that form, going inside of that form, even starting to draw the shadows. Even the salt crystals can be done with like a little um, like circle the interior of that pretzel, shadow, salt crystal, this part of the pretzel, another pretzel is interrupting it, so I'm going to go and draw that part, and then what I see inside of that. So, and then I want to add some of these shadows because I think that they're kind of important to understand all these forms. Maybe I'll add this other starburst in here too, or maybe just the part of it that I see, which isn't, it's not that much in terms of how much space I've given myself to draw in. So everything I've drawn in this section, I would say, is done with a lyrical line. And in the next section next to it, I'm going to use a whimsical line. So a whimsical line is one that is erratic. It changes weight and direction kind of without cause. And I think of it as like a crazy line. Like whimsical makes me think about, I don't know, going to the circus. So I'm thinking about all these things kind of happening at the same time, and you know, a bear and a lion and trapeze artists over my head. I know that sounds really funny, but all of that is kind of like all over the place. And so I want the quality of my line to be all over the place as well. So I've kind of moved my crackers and candy around just to have a slightly different composition. I'm just going to think of this as the edge of the paper. And I'll start with the Hershey's line again, or the Hershey's again. And with this one, I kind of want that line to be like not necessarily a sketchy line, but like a line that's kind of all over the place. My pencil's about to break. But like I often am like singing in my head going, I mean, it's very silly, but again, thinking about what would it mean for it to be whimsical? Like sometimes I also will turn my pencil. I still have control, but almost in a way that feels like I have less control, like turning it and twisting it in slightly different ways than I usually would hold it. And it doesn't mean that I'm not still drawing exactly what I see and trying to keep it in proportion. I am. I'm just using a line quality that should look a little bit different than that idea of lyrical. So for me, feeling like I'm slightly out of control, it doesn't mean I actually am out of control. It just feels like it. Allows me to make a line that just feels a little bit different. So for me, this is a whimsical line rather than the lyrical line next to it. Again, they're both contour lines, but they just have a different quality. Let me sharpen my pencil again. This one might be at the end of its life. Just bear with me, sorry about that. Okay, so then for this next one, I want us to create a structural line. So a structural line is going to be, precise. It's going to describe the height and width of objects. And so it's going to just feel very different. You could even use a ruler to create this one. The starbursts are going to be very good for this kind of line. I'm going to, again, still describing all of the edges, so it's still more of a contour line than anything else, but I'm going to draw each one of these starbursts and really try to like create the angles that I see while drawing them. And then I almost want to simplify the other forms, the other candy, into their simplest forms in a very structural way. So, for example, there's a couple ways that you can deal with the pretzels. One of the ways that I think is kind of fun is to imagine creating that pretzel out of line rather than having any kind of curve. So every time the pretzel changes direction, I'm going to use a line rather than a curve to create those openings, those areas. And for me, I think that that's going to make that pretzel look really structural. even its shadows. You can even make its little salt crystals to be like little cubes. Let's do another one. Or I could really think about creating almost a circle with this pretzel, and really thinking about how to like carve out the interior of that to be as structural, again, as structural as possible. And let's do this Hershey's in here too. You guys might be wondering, how would I approach the candy? And so let's see how I would approach that candy. I'm going to sneak one in here. Let's put one right up here. So for that candy, I mean, I definitely feel like, I don't know, maybe I would really think about its height, and then kind of simplify its wrapper into almost geometric shapes. So this drawing should feel more structured with a lot more sharp edges than this one or this one. And in the last one, I'm going to use an aggressive line. So an aggressive line is one that's done with intention. You know, so like I almost feel like you almost have to get angry at the drawings. You don't have to actually be angry, but you can create an angry or a very aggressive mark. So if I'm drawing a pretzel, like what if I draw that pretzel with a lot of pressure and a lot of like intention in the way that I'm creating that, so that there's, you know, a lot of I don't know, like almost like a passion that I'm using to describe that form, and making it again really intentional and almost speedy. So they don't have to be like dark. Like I can still create a starburst that just has really intentional marks. That's going to feel different than those other ones. So like, let's see if I can do a cracker, or sorry, a candy with really intentional marks. Or this candy, again, really making a decision and kind of sticking with it, that it's going to be like this, darn it. So yeah, just a more aggressive mark making style. So what you should hopefully see is that within even a line quality like contour line, you can have, or within a line way of drawing like contour line, you can have all this different line quality, where you can have something that's fluid, something that's a little bit more erratic, something that's very much structural or measured and precise, and something that's done with intent, or again, could be interpreted as aggressive. And this is what I'm looking for your homework, to create these 4 different kinds of line quality using small objects. Thank you.